Welcome back to the channel. In this video today, I'm going to give you an essential tip to enjoy smooth VR, even without motion reprojection, or even if you can't reach 90 frames per second like most of us, it's not the end of the world. So join me after a very quick word from our sponsor and I'll explain what this video is all about. This video is proudly sponsored by FS Academy, and guess what? They've got a new range of mission packs available for Microsoft Flight Simulator coming very soon for PC and Xbox users. Now prepare yourself for some very exhilarating situations that include emergency procedures and malfunctions, hazardous weather. You can even recreate the miracle on the Hudson, and in fact our good friend Mark from the Sim Hangar did just that, and I'll leave a link to that video in the notes below. They also come with necessary charts, procedures, even a ground school to get you up and running. And don't forget, these missions are from a real world airline captain. Anyway, it's now time to get into today's video. Right, let's get into this video. So, in my opinion, I would rather run 45 frames per second than 60 frames per second, and that is with headsets such as the Reverb G2, Varjo Aero, Pimax Crystal, the ones that have a 90 Hz refresh rate, because 45 frames per second, of course, is half of that. And whatever reason, I'm not quite sure what the technicalities are behind this, you get a lot less stutters and everything feels very smooth, and this is without motion reprojection as well, because I know many of you out there are not a fan of motion reprojection because it induces artifacts. So what you're seeing right now is me running the Varjo Aero with the 808 Comanche with a locked 45 frames per second, so I've capped my frame rate. This then enables the sim to use its resources much more freely in other areas, which then reduces the impact of stutters. So that's why it feels so smooth, or that's one of the reasons anyway. So there's a number of ways to do this, and I'm going to show you how to do it in the Crystal, the Reverb G2. So let's start with the Varjo Aero. You can see here that what I'm doing is if you look on the right hand side at the bottom, we have a vertical synchronization option. This feature with the Varjo based software didn't always work that well, but now I'm glad to say it's fixed and it works really good. All you need to do is enable a fixed 45 frames per second. You can also do this with 30 frames per second, but I would recommend sticking to 45 and disabling motion projection. That's all you need to do. And then of course the important thing is you need to hit that target, okay? So lower your settings in the sim. Now this is the same deal with the Pimax Crystal, and you need to use the Pimax XR switcher or runtime software, and that's thanks to Matt. He's a legend in the community. Thank you for all you do if you're watching this. If you look there at the bottom, there is an option to lock to half frame rate. I'd also recommend using turbo mode or prefer frame rate over latency option while you're there as well. Now there is many other ways you can do this as well, including the NVIDIA driver. I wouldn't recommend doing that really, because it might actually interfere with other aspects of the sim. Say if you want to run in 2D mode, which I very rarely do, but you never know. But another way of doing this is the OpenXR Toolkit, especially for Reverb G2 owners. As you can see there, I'm now changing the frame rate. Notice how it's just basically taking back that frame rate to 45 frames per second. So I appreciate, folks, that not everyone can run 45 frames per second, I know. But you know what? Even if you have a 4070 base system or a 3080 Ti, you can actually run the sim at 45 frames per second at most places. Probably bar, say, London City on a very heavy day. Don't worry if you don't always reach 45 frames per second, but what it does mean is that when you do, you're going to really enjoy a very smooth performance. And actually it's almost as smooth as motion reprojection, not quite, but then you don't have to worry about the artifacts and all that kind of stuff. So I hope that little tip has been useful, and just as an extra thing here, please make sure that you stay away from the heavy hitters of MSFS. That is the ones that really take the frame rate down. Perhaps take level of detail down, that's how far you can see out. Push it back to 80 or 90. That will make a big difference. Also stay away from volumetric clouds. Keep them to medium or high. And I'd definitely recommend switching off Raymark's reflections. I don't even use them with a 4090. It's just a waste of performance in my opinion. It's not very well optimized. So please do let me know in the comments. Have you tried this? Would you recommend a locked 45 frames per second? Do you have another way of doing things? Please do just engage in the comments below. And as always, I appreciate all your support, and I'll just leave you with a few more shots of splits with very heavy photogrammetry, which is always a killer for frame rate. But notice I'm still locked at 45 frames per second. That is of course because of the RTX 4090. But you know, if you lower those settings and be quite ruthless with those settings, you can reach 45 frames per second even with lower base GPUs. See you soon, take care, and bye for now.